unfortunately, or fortunately, depends how much you like the colour, we're going back to, I think, magenta. Not that there's many other options, is there, in this particular flower. Let's see, what should we start with? I'm going to start, where are we? I need a little bit of something. And so I'll just make up a little wash of that magenta that we've been using, or any magenta that you've been using. And I want to start on this flower there, I think. Now, I've never watched anybody else paint. I haven't even watched a video. So when Deb says that, you know, she's found it really interesting, even at this early stage, I find that quite unusual, weird. Like, how could these awful little washes of colour be at all interesting? And when even just how I apply it, I sort of thought I probably did it quite normally, but, or I don't know. I mean,
oh, well, you paint instinctively. You know.
Okay.
Whereas some people think it out quite a lot.
And how do what I'll keep painting while you chat. How do you mean, like, think it out? Like,
well, in your class, your painting is instinctively, whereas a lot of people prepare a lot of different, I guess, different shots so that you can see things. But yours is interesting because you're speaking out loud.
Yes.
As you're painting, yes. And so we're hearing your thought process.
Yes, that is it. I mean, that's kind of what I did on Facebook, and that's how I sort of continued, yeah. Really. I really don't do much of anything, actually. I don't. Certainly, it looks really pretty when people sort of work out the sketch and then they put all these little blocks of colour and the different colours and the combinations. Well, I don't do that anymore, of course, because I don't actually mix colour. I sort of, as you know, we just paint it layer by layer. So that sort of avoids that. And even though when I do need to mix colour, I kind of guess as I'm going along. I don't necessarily. No, you're right. I don't do any prep.
And you're using two brushes at the same time.
Oh, but how else does everybody hold their water brush?
Well, you know, a lot of people for wetting wet.
Oh yes, you don't need it so much as well.
The water and they wait, you know.
Yeah.
And then they put their colouring, but the way you're feathering yours out at the same time.
Oh, okay. See the mysteries.
I have like quite literally water bushes. They have like a water tank and the nylon at the end.
Oh.
So I every so often just pick them up and then.
Oh, yeah. Actually, you know what? My most hydrated part of me will be this hand, because what I do is I do that. And whenever when I've used it, and I haven't used it for, done a bit of painting, I haven't used it for a minute or two, and I want to see how much water there's still on there. If I want to water, I will still test it on my hand to see how damp it is. So it's like this nice little hydrated patch. Unfortunately, it's not on my face, because that's probably where I need it. So I just talk through how I'm viewing things and what I'm thinking. But so obviously starting where I feel the most inclined to start, and for the moment I'm just strengthening up. That's a really super dark, nice dark shadow here, so we can definitely pop in a bit more colour and let that dry off for a moment.
Denise,
yes.
Sorry.
No, not at all.
Are you just using, I missed this, are you only using the magenta right now? Because
yes.
on the screen that looks very dark.
It is only the magenta, yes.
It is.
Who was speaking there? I can't see.
Oh, it's Sandy.
Oh, Sandra. Yes, the only thing I would say is maybe your screen's dark, but it's it's kind of a, let's see, I think it's sort of a mid a mid wash. It's not light, but it's not a dark magenta wash at this point.
Okay, thank you.
So-
I just thought I'd ask.
Yeah, no, totally, yeah, absolutely. If you're wondering it, others will be too. So I don't mind. In fact, I was just thinking that nobody asks me questions. But you know.
We're processing.
Okay, process away then. And a lot of what I do, like, see there's that little bright white part right there that I keep avoiding because I'm still working into it. Like, I'm still deciding things. So I leave it because, you know, you can always cover it, you can't take it back. So I leave things like that.
Denise, I keep losing you and going to other people.
Oh, how does that work? What do you mean?
Actually, that's happening is people need to mute
Okay.
push their mute button when they're not talking because any noise in the background causes the screen to go to that person.
That's right.
Ah, see? Tech support,
Push the
thanks.
mute button.
I can do that for you. Let me.
It's on next to your picture.
I'm on screen, yeah.
You got it? Oh, yes. Looks like everybody's done it. Okay. So, just adding a layer of colour. Building it up a little bit more when it's way too light to start anything really. This is really nice. We could hurry up here a bit. And I feel a little bit like we can make a bit stronger through here. What I also do is I also use, you know, sometimes whatever's on the water brush, because I know that, you know, things transfer to your water brush pigments, and I'll often use that as well. I'm getting, here we go. So just not putting on a block of colour here because there I do see some nice lines of texture. So we'll pop those in. And of course now my paper's slightly damp in this area, so you know you can come back and do a little bit more, and the paint doesn't grab the paper so much, so it's a bit easier really. There we go. Okay, so just moving on to the next one. I'm just really well, it's not quite a rehash of last week where you just sort of redo all the bits you do. You can add in. I mean, now I am sort of adding in a few more details that I see, as opposed to just painting over what I did last week. Hey, maybe I should have a different brush for my water brush. Do you know which brush is my water brush? Can you see the difference? I should maybe paint it red or something. There's some great. This is really lovely texture on this flower petal. So do look out for it. It is 0189. That's the one I'm working from for that, and it's a good shot and it's got some really good texture. And I'll still go over it so it's not as dark and light. There's this colour in here is a mid pink. It's not as light as that, but I'll leave that sort of till last. Let's see how much of my colour I still got on. So I don't know, this brush is quite good. It seems to last for ages where the wash, there's still something on the brush for quite a long time actually. But I might just lighten the wash just a little bit. We want it maybe a bit lighter, soft, sort of baby pink. That's better. Just to do in around the top each year, we can feel like there's some details we can add, but I want them to be quite light. Hang on a moment. There we go. Have a quick look at that while I've taken that off. So I'm just sort of adding. It's quite pale. It's not very dark. You can barely see it there. I'm just using that to add some of those nice little crinkles in the top part of the petal edge there. Anyway, that'll cover up our video somewhat, so you have to see a little bit more on that on the video. Forget about that, I've got two angles going. Sorry, video. I just wanted to run a little bit of pink down this part of the petal, but without going all the way to the top edge, because the top edge is a little bit lighter. And I might even come in and lighten that edge with my little flat brush later on, just to make it even softer still. So we can wait for that to dry, I think. And let's see. As I've got a very light wash on my brush, let's just pop over here and start doing some of those as well. It's actually quite dark on this side. We need to come in with something, I think. It's a bit darker. Okay, so it's probably okay. Right. Actually, you know what? Let's add some more colour while we're there. Quite a bit darker, I would say. Still quite bright, and it's not going to stay that bright. We can dull it down and it will look much better, but we'll do that on the paper itself rather than making a mix on the palette. I just want to, I don't even want it to go all the way to the top edge. I just want to add a little more brightness through here, intensity I suppose. And then, I mean, what I'll use in the end is possibly my lovely moss green colour later to sort of darken that edge and that shadow and make it look. It'll give it such great depth to it. At the moment, it looks all pretty. It looks nice enough, but it's pretty flat because it's all just one colour, just tones of. A little bit of, we put a bit of lemon yellow, didn't we, in at early stage, but it's just one colour really of magenta, and so as soon as we start adding some other nice colours like that green, blue, and maybe a bit of purple, that's when I think it looks much, much better. Okay, so those ones, what's happened there, that's painted, the paint's dried, a really strong edge, so just touch that up. So I'm just going to grab one of my other photos. So to do the front petal, Let's see what would be a good photo for that. That's what I'll do. Okay. So I'm just sort of squinting my eyes almost and looking to see if there's any little dark shapes that I can add in, and I'll keep this edge here still quite soft, so I'm not going to put anything up there just yet. My wash is still, well, it's more like a mid colour now. I think I've warmed up. I think I can add something a bit darker. Now I said, so it's this part here that I want to keep sort of slightly lighter. I see that in the picture, but up at this edge here it can be a little bit more magenta, and avoiding the other side here, down this side that's quite pale. I might just leave that to dry. See what that does. I do quite like working with things that just happen on the paper as well, of course. Little nice unexpected incidences. They don't happen so much here this time, they happen a little bit later on, and that's really nice. Alright, well, in general, I do need to make this darker. I'll either do it now or later. I'll start with the top edge. There's a nice shadow that you want to try and get. So it's going to have a sharper edge on one side. And I'll leave that, and I'll soften out this side here. So finishing just before the top edge of that flower petal, making sure I keep that. Dragging my water brush down so that I can sort of blend those colours, or that colour, into my white a little bit. There are some definite white, magenta little lovely stripes of colour that come in at the bottom here, between the two that I want to do, but I should probably do it with a finer brush actually. See my little stippling technique there? That's just me mucking around. I honestly, I'll do that as well on paper. You see if it does anything, see if it works. If it doesn't, you can paint over it at the stage. It never really makes much of a I mean, it doesn't make such an impact that you go, oh, I've just ruined it. So, but it's kind of, see, actually, that's pretty good. You're talking about me being like some sort of, just, I don't know, natural painter or something that just keeps painting. I don't test stuff on paper. Like, I should have probably done a bit of that on my test paper to see. I just do it on the paper itself and see how we go. And I haven't mucked up yet, so. But some of the stuff is, you can undo some of your stuff easily enough. So probably maybe don't do that. Maybe test it. Don't be like me. That's my impatient side. I don't know, coming out like just hurry up and try something. It's all a bit of an experiment. Okay, that's quite nice. But this bit here, we need to sort that out. Look. Colour comes down a little bit more. And also after I've sort of done, say, part here, I need to let it dry and I need to sleep on it and I need to come back. And tomorrow it'll either look way better than I left it, way better than I thought, or I'll need some more work, so. It's always good to have a wee break and then my eyes can pick up things tomorrow much better. Okay, while I'm here, I'll tap my way around this edge as well. Do the same with my water brush. You may not see it, it'll come up in the picture more than it will come up in the video, but it definitely is a different texture there, which I like, and which I kind of see, and I've emphasised, possibly overemphasised, from the photo. So a tiny bit of use your imagination, and